Hey fellow Vault dwellers, it's Angry Turtle, and in this video I want to talk about best possible legendary effects that we can have on the weapons both range and melee. If you are an experienced Fallout player, then probably you already know what the effects are and what they do, but maybe you will still find something helpful in this guide and in the details I will try to include. If not, then please feel free to share your experience and your favorite legendary effects in the comment section below. First, as we'll be talking about legendary effect, you need to know that weapons, melee and range can have from 1 to 3 stars. First effect is a prefix of the weapon, it's a first star effect, and there is huge selection of those effects and those are the most powerful. Then we have a second star called otherwise major effect, and this is much less of a selection, and similar situation is about the third star that is called minor. And if you look on the description this weapon, they not always go in order. You just need to know what kind of effects you should expect on first star, on second star and on third star, because effect like 33% VATS hit chance, that is second star effect, cannot occur on 1-star weapon as a prefix, and it cannot be a third star effect. It's always on the second star. Same with prefix anti-armor, it will be always as a first star. And like in this example, faster reload, it will be always as a last star. Then let's start with the most powerful effect that is the most powerful for both melee and range weapons. And at this moment is a Bloodied effect. This effect can provide you with damage boost up to 100% at 0 HP. In practice you will never run with 0 HP, but a lot of builds is based to run at 20% HP, and in that case scenario, this Bloodied effect provides you 80% damage boost, plus great synergy with a lot of perks that further boost your damage and at low HP. After the Bloodied effect, on the second place we have a Junkie's effect. This effect is based on number of your addictions. And it doesn't matter how much side effects from addictions you are suffering, just a number of addictions. Then basically if you are addicted to 5 gems, you will be getting full bonus of this effect, and full bonus of this effect is 50% damage. It is on second place on my list because this 50% damage is very easy to achieve, just 5 addictions. And those addictions usually have very minor side effects, like -2 to 1 of your special stats. The third one on my list is Instigating. It excel if weapon have a high damage, because basically this effect will double up your damage against the enemy at full health. Then basically let's say you are doing 100 damage with this effect. If you are shooting enemy that was in damage before, you will do 200 damage. What's perfect for all the farming purposes. It's not very good against bosses, but against everything else it is a great effect. Fourth on my list will be a Furious effect. Furious effect I will demonstrate. Furious effect. When you are shooting the same target multiple times, your damage is going up. And this effect max out after 10 shots and it's doing 45% bonus damage. Keep in mind you need to be shooting only one target. You are allowed to miss the shots, like I can do a couple shots then one into the air and my bonus is still up. But as soon as I hit other target, I'm losing this bonus. This bonus will reset. This is great effect for boss fights and tough enemies, especially if you are using fast firing weapon. After that I will place enemy specific bonuses, like for example Zealots that do extra damage versus scorched, like we have in here. It's 30% extra damage versus the specific enemy. It is 5 on my list, and those are 5 best legendary effects you can have for range weapons. It is worth to mention that we have some other useful effects, but not as powerful, and therefore they didn't add up on my top priority list. Like anti-armor. Anti-armor basically is equivalent of 20% damage bonus, then it's weaker than all other effects are mentioned. And we have 2-shot, that is basically splitting your bullet on half and if you hit both of those bullets, you will do 25% extra damage. But there is one big but. The accuracy will suffer greatly. What makes this effect not so great, as you are getting 25% damage, but you have much harder time hitting your target. And another effect worth to mention, executioners. Sounds great on paper, as it's doing extra 50% damage. Sounds great on paper, as executioners doing extra 50% damage to the target that has less than 40% health. But in practice, usually if you will be able to drop the target to 40% health, you can quickly finish it off. And if you will be fighting legendary boss, then this situation is even worse, because legendary boss is regenerating health when it drops to 50%, what changed its total health pool to 150%, what means you will need to take the 110% health of enemy boss before Executioner's effect will even start working. Just to clarify how anti-armor works, I want to show you on those scorched. I have here anti-armor pistol, and by shooting this scorched, you can see I'm doing 20 damage. Now, if I will change my weapon to Zealot's 10mm pistol, and I will shoot the scorched with the same amount of armor, it's 22 damage. Then it's already stronger. Anti-armor sounds very good on paper, but in practice it's just equivalent of 20% damage boost. Then it's weaker than other possible legendary effects. Now there are as well some prefixes that not strictly related to damage increase, but in some situations very useful and high utility value. Those effects, it will be, for example, vampires, like this Gatling laser. Because of its very high fire rate and vampires effect triggering and healing you a little bit with every hit on the enemy, using this effect will almost instantly, as you can see, refill your health bar. Another very useful effect is medics, that basically cause your VATS critical hits to heal you and your group, and is especially useful on weapons that fire very cheaply in VATS, or weapons with multiple projectiles like shotguns, because every single projectile will trigger this legendary effect, therefore causing crazy amount of healing for you and your team. You have your critical, just press the spacebar and you can see my health bar instantly refilled after one critical, and if there will be my teammates around, they will have their health refilled as well. Another one, it will be quad, especially for the weapon that normally can hold only one bolt, like a crossbow. If you put a quad, you can load 4 and fire them almost instantly in a burst. The side effect, like for a crossbow, is that you need to reload it 4 times to get your bolts back. But there are different weapons, like for example harpoon gun, that will reload 4 harpoons at once, what make it even more useful. There is as well a Saltron head, that quad effect result that you can charge it more than 4 times, exactly 20 times. Unfortunately at this moment it doesn't work as it's supposed to. You fully charge it, it will show the damage numbers on the screen, but it will not do the damage that are stated there. Like you can see what will happen now when I shoot this scorched. It says that I did 1300 damage, but I actually didn't do anything to this scorched. I'm still gonna keep this weapon, it's look great on paper, faster fire rate, faster reload, quad, what can hold 20 charges, doesn't work. One other effect I didn't mention earlier and can be used quite effectively is Berserker. It basically gives you plus 50% damage, but only if your armor is 0. What is a big side effect to use it. It is possible with a stealth build, but still If you are going for the stealth build, Junkies will give you the same amount of damage, Bloodied will give you much more damage. Now about effects possible as a second star of your weapon, I will rate 2 effects as best choices. It will be 25% faster fire rate, that is pretty much self-explanatory, it's just fire 25% faster and therefore your DPS is going up by 25%. And there is other effect that change your bullet into explosive bullets. Bullet explode for area damage. It's the second star effect, and what it does, it basically adds explosion that is equal to 20% of your base damage. The side effect of that is that this explosion is reduced by enemy armor, what in practice usually make it less than 20% damage, but can be slightly boosted by Demolition Expert. And there is one big advantage, this extra damage is not lost with a range. If you're shooting farther than your maximum range of the weapon, your main damage will drop, but explosive damage will keep the 20% of the base. So you see, 6 damage from the impact of the bullet and 2 damage from explosion, regardless how far this scorched beast will go. Second great effect is crit damage. VATS critical shots do plus 50% damage. It's another great effect for your second star. The major effect. It's another great effect possible on the second star. How the crit damage works, you basically shoot in VATS and your crit meter will fill up. Then when it's full, you press whatever button is on the console, space bar on the PC and fire, and this is a guarantee hit that is doing much higher damage. It is really good perk for every VATS focus build. Next on the list will be either 10% damage while aiming or 33% VATS hit chance. How those effects work, like effect plus 20% damage while aiming, and this is one of the examples when you can see it on top of the list, but it's actually a second start legendary effect and faster reload that previously I showed you on the top. It is a third star legendary effect. How this effect works, it doesn't matter if the weapon is with scope or not, and basically I'm doing 20 damage if I shoot like that. If I press a right mouse button, then I'm doing 22 damage. The 10% bonus applies. There is one problem, if you really quick press right button, then the bonus is not applied instantly. You need 1 or 2 seconds. You need to hold your right button for 1 or 2 seconds to get your 10% bonus while aiming. Now the VATS hit chance is basically when you aim in VATS, your hit chance will be higher than otherwise. It's pretty self-explanatory, just easier to hit everything in VATS, you waste less bullets, therefore it is a very useful effect. About the third star, the best effect will be 25% less VATS cost. I don't have any weapon on me to demonstrate, but I have separate video on my channel explaining why this effect is so amazing, especially on the rifles. Other useful effects that you can have as a third star will be faster reload or faster critical meter. Now what I didn't include it on the list, and some people think it's a good effect, is plus 50% limb damage. As this effect, plus 50% limb damage, doesn't actually do any extra damage to your enemies, even if you hit the limbs. It helps you cripple the limbs. That's what this effect does. Like if I shoot this scorch into the torso, it's a 20 damage. If I shoot his leg, it's still the 20 damage. Now for the melee weapons. The Bloodied is still the king. Bloodied is insanely effective on the melee weapons. You will get crazy damage out of it. You can see only 365, but at this moment I'm not speccing to anything. I didn't want my spec to affect the weapons. There is no damage related perks, and I'm wearing power armor. Then after the Bloodied is similar to ranged weapons, the Junkies, as it will give you 50% damage with just couple addictions. Then we'll get Instigating, like this Grognak axe, perfect farming weapons, especially with faster swing speed. And then after that, similarly to the ranged weapons, you can use enemy specific like Zealots or Troubleshooter. And last on the list will be Vampires, because melee weapons have already so high damage that even though they do not attack very fast, if you can already kill enemy in one hit with your melee weapons, then you can go for a Vampire for some extra health regeneration. For the second star, the best possible option will be faster swing speed, and not far behind it I will put 40% more power attack damage. It's very good for bosses. 40% more power attack damage, great for bosses. 40% faster swing speed, great for everything. This will be only those two effects as for the second star, and for the third star, the best possible option is +1 strength, because strength directly affects damage of your melee weapons. If not strength, then good option if your weapon is power attack damage will be less damage taken while power attacking, can be quite useful for a weapon with more power attack damage. And third option that I think is valuable is 90% reduced weight. That's everything that's on my priority list for legendary effects. I will include this list in this video description. I hope this list will help you next time you visit Purveyor, and if you will get a weapon that you're not sure if you should keep, or rather toss it back into the script machine. And now, thank you a lot for watching, and see you guys in the next one.